How do I handle my awful SIL at my boyfriend's family Christmas? My 31F boyfriend 30M and I have been together for 3 years. We have gotten to know each other's families quite well as we live nearby and can visit often. I love my boyfriend's family except his brother's 33M, long-term girlfriend 33F. Called her SIL for simplicity in the title. Let's call my boyfriend James. His brother will be Mike and his brother's girlfriend Kelly. Kelly and Mike have been dating for 5.5 years. I truly believe she is well-intentioned, but oh my god, she's freaking terrible to be around. I get along with almost everyone I meet, but being around her actively makes feel like I'm losing brain cells. We are polar opposites, but that's not why she's terrible. She makes wildly inappropriate comments to everyone around her, has no sense of self-awareness, and thinks the world owes her something. Kelly and Mike are not in a good financial position. Kelly is unable to work because of her traumatic childhood, and Mike works 50+ hours per week in construction. He busts his butt to provide for them, and she spends her days at the local bar with the local riffraff, then complains about not being able to afford to buy a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home on several acres of land in our HCOL state. For Christmas, my boyfriend's parents are hosting celebrations, and we are doing a small gift exchange with a max budget of $10 per person, and then everyone drew a name from a hat and we get that person one gift of up to $50. Total spend is $100 each, so everyone gets one big gift and a couple of small things. At first, we had no budget, but Mike was concerned about being able to participate, so we set a budget, and James slipped Mike $200 so he wouldn't have to worry about it. It's not Secret Santa, so everyone knows who drew which name. James drew Kelly's name, and immediately she started sending him links to things that were $100 plus for him to get her. He reminded her of the budget that we set to benefit them, and she said, "You can afford it. These are the only things I want." It made it worse by saying, "Mike drew your name and we're getting you something nicer than $50. I'll give her the benefit of the doubt that she may not know James gave Mike the $200 to help them out. She hounded James about it being unfair that they suffer while we have so much, so clearly he can afford to get her a nicer gift. Both James and I are very comfortable, but we've both worked hard for everything we have." She insulted him, called him greedy, told him that he's selfish and only cares about himself and the fancy life he lives with me, and that Mike and her resent him for abandoning them. James is the kind of person who would give his last dollar away, the shoes off his feet in a snowstorm, and who acts tough but is actually just a big softie. A lot of people take advantage of that. And he caved. He got her the fancy over-budget gift. James and Mike's parents just kind of roll their eyes at her when she makes weird, inappropriate comments, and their mom has confided in me that she's happy at least James picked a normal one, and that she's glad she doesn't have to take care of both of her sons into adulthood. They are completely unaware of what's happened behind the scenes between Kelly and James. I'm not afraid of confrontation, but don't want to ruin Christmas by losing my shit at her. She's bound to say something or do something because she always does, and I really don't know if I can bite my tongue much longer. I am furious at her. I feel like I'm going to explode if she makes one offhanded comment or snide remark that I'm betting it'll only take 20 minutes for her to say something stupid. It's not about the gift. We don't care about the money. To me, this is icing on the cake of her already poor behavior. To James, it's just another thing he wants to let slide because he loves his brother and it makes Mike's life easier if Kelly is happy and not complaining. How can I navigate this and stop her from taking advantage of James in the future? Talking to her rationally is futile. James did try that, and that's how we're here. Edit. Thank you all for the comments. I am going to push pause on this account until after the holidays and will post an update if anything interesting happens. I've decided to go into this armed with a couple of the quick and simple responses that people have suggested in here. My favorites are, "Wow, what an inappropriate comment," or "I can't believe you said that out loud." James and I will chat too after the holidays. I agree he needs to set better boundaries, but we can have that conversation privately after the chaos of Christmas. Relevant comments. Op should use the gray rock method on the SIL. Op said, "It feels like that's how we're here." She says dumb, rude, and insulting things, and everyone either ignores it or caves in to get her to stop. I'll find a way to keep my cool on Christmas Day, but this can't go on forever. It just can't. Commenter 1, whenever she says something stupid, reply with a simple, "What an odd thing to say," and walk away. You can omit the odd part when it doesn't fit the statement. Up replied, as an example of the things she says, "My boyfriend has a cousin who had a car accident, and one of their legs has a severe burn scar on it that covers like one half their leg. Cousin was wearing shorts when he first met Kelly. First words out of Kelly's mouth were, 'Whoa, what the fuck happened to your leg? It's awful.' I do like your suggestion. My facial expressions usually speak for me, but with how she spoke to James, I'm livid." Commenter 2, imagine how hard what a weird thing to say to a person would have hit. Op said, "It's true, locked and loaded with this one for Christmas for sure." Commenter 2, your boyfriend shouldn't have caved. What will he do when he marries you? Will Sil continue to get her way? Op said. To clarify this, I hope he never changes. He's the sweetest, most giving person. One of many reasons I love him. It just sucks to have someone take advantage of it and his family over and over again. She does it to everyone. It's terrible. Op should cut in the conversation with Sil. Op said their conversation happened over text message, so I didn't know until after it was said and done. Does Op have a good relationship with Mike? Op replied, Mike and I have a good relationship, but we're not that close. I think that would be overstepping. James has had similar conversations, though not about not tolerating her outbursts, more in line with being available as support if things get bad between him and Kelly. Op gives more details about Kelly's working situation and how James might be a people pleaser. Op replied, I put the bit about why she can't work in here because it's ridiculous, but also her words verbatim. It's not my place to tell her to work. When boyfriend's mom brings it up, she goes on about privilege and her anxiety. I empathize with anxiety as I also suffer with that. She allows it to control her though, and isn't willing to seek help or work on herself because she doesn't see it as a problem. Regarding James, it's definitely a pattern for him. When people he cares about push him, he wants to make them happy, even if it means sacrificing his own happiness. I always have to stop, pause, and check in when we plan vacations or make big decisions to make sure he's not just doing what I want for the sake of it. We have a good system down for us, and he's able to be more honest and transparent about his wants when given the space to do so. With his family and friends, he does struggle with boundaries. He's aware and trying with little things, telling friends it's not okay to call him at 2 a.m. unless it's an emergency, and is actively working on it. Ironically, if anyone treats me the way Kelly treats him, he turns into a bit of a pit bull. I have had a few issues with men at work. I work in a very male-dominated industry with lots of sexism. Think oil rigs and fishing boats kind of environment. When they act up, James is in my corner and ready to defend. He's stepped in when my family is overstepped, and the only time I've ever seen him snap back at Kelly was when she made a comment to me that crossed a line. However much of a pushover James is, Mike is 100% worse. He is very sweet but has absolutely zero self-esteem. I think that's why he and Kelly have lasted so long. Whatever behavior she exhibits toward us or that we observe, he deals with it 100x at home. James has talked to Mike and offered an ear and support, but at some point Mike has to be willing to help himself, and he doesn't love himself enough to see the problem. James has read these comments, and while he's still going to give her the gift, he is starting to see the problem and impact it has on his relationship with his brother. I hope that inspires setting healthy boundaries. I'll support him in whatever he decides is best. Does Op have to see Sil and Mike on a regular basis when visiting James's family? Op. We only really see her on holidays and at family gatherings. James might see her more often if he's with his brother, but I'm fortunate it's only 3 to 4 by per year for me. The rest of his family is wonderful and we would never not show up for them because of her. Op and James need to tell Mike what Kelly said via text messages. Op said, it's more of a concern that whatever we deal with over a couple of hours at family gatherings, he gets it 1000x worse at home. He has very little self-esteem and she walks all over him and is absolutely cruel. James has talked to Mike about how she treats Mike and he doesn't even try to defend it, just gets defeated and sad. He deserves better, but doesn't have the self-esteem to believe it for himself. This is what we tiptoe around. Right now, Mike will confide in James about some of his relationship with Kelly. James always offers support, options, and a way out. Mike isn't trying to make an exit though. If James pushes, Mike backs off and stops telling him things. It's hard in abusive situations because if you push too hard, you may inadvertently ostracize or push the victim away, making them feel unsafe sharing with you anymore. We don't want that. Editing to add, but for ME, because I'm a third party, I do plan to respond with some of the suggested remarks like, what a weird thing to say, or, wow, that's really uncalled for, instead of letting it slide. Update, thank you to everyone who commented. This is a rather anticlimactic update. Christmas was actually lovely. Kelly behaved for the most part, though of course made a few left-field comments. Using Mill and Phil for simplicity, but my boyfriend and I are not married. Here are some examples. Mill opened a gift. It was a turkey baster. Kelly exclaimed, whoa, Phil trying to get her pregnant again. Mill and Phil are in their 70s, awkward pause, turns to me and James and goes, actually, I'm surprised it's not you. And on recommendations from Reddit, I laughingly responded, what an uncomfortable thing to say. Kelly went on about how she expected after we took a 2-week vacation we would be sharing a pregnancy announcement. I responded, well, that's kind of weird. I got James a gag gift that says some sexual innuendo on the butt of a pair of pants. Kelly kept making comments about, no one needs to know the details of your sex life. Despite that, the pants were a joke. This was repeated all night, but I just ignored it. Otherwise, we had a great time and a great family gathering. I wish I had something more exciting, but the answer I got helped me have a few responses in my arsenal to respond to her weird comments, and otherwise I ignored her. Thanks, Reddit.